You're listening to the Romantic Wallflowers, a podcast about all our favourite things, Bridgerton, period dramas, and of course, romance.
We're four besties living in 3 countries over 2 different continents with one romance podcast.
We all met on Threads while watching Bridgerton Season 3 Part 2 and wanted a place to talk where we wouldn't spoil the show for anyone.
So, we started the world-friendliest Bridgerton Discord.
What started as a virtual sleepover with a handful of strangers
Has become a community of over 300 Bridgerton besties.
We're talking Bridgerton,
Regency romance,
modern-day adaptations.
And all the hot behind-the-scenes gossip.
Because who needs fresh air?
when there's fresh gossip.
I'm Bailey.
I'm Chelsea.
I'm Emma.
I'm Kay.
And we're the Romantic Wallflowers. Do we want me to start, the non-romance girly?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really a romance person. I would like to be. I'm trying to be. I just want to be one of those romance girlies who can just read romance and watch romance like constantly and love everything and not have any problems or critiques. That's what I'm trying to be. But I'm not yet. Bridgerton's like the first purely romance thing that I've really gotten into or hyperfixated on.
So what is your issue with romance if you are your hesitation?
Half the time I just find it really boring.
Fair.
Or I find that I like the two characters individually, but then the moment they get together, their personalities just change, or they have no flaws, or the problems aren't big enough for me to have any investment in. Like, the stakes they don't feel real, and they just feel like they're there to keep the main couple apart or to break them up in the third act. When I'm like, that's just not believable, and I don't want to read about people breaking up for the sake of breaking up just so I can read about them getting back together again.
Yeah. So we have a romance podcast with one person who does not really care for romance, but is trying.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Which is, hey, we'll give you that, because romance is hard. Like, there's a lot of stigma around it, so it makes sense that, like, you're not 100% on board. What about the rest of you guys? Like, what's your thing for romance? How do you feel about it? What's your opinion? What's the tea?
I feel like I'm very similar to Bailey. I've always been a romantic. Like, I love love songs. I love love stories in basically anything. Like, if there's not a love story in even like a horror film, I'm not interested. Like, there needs to be something there, but it doesn't need to have like a happy ending. I'm not into the romance genre for books or movies, where I do love rom-coms, but not contemporary rom-coms. And my preferred like romance would be in fantasy and or period dramas, Regency, because it adds that layer of distance between me as a contemporary person. Like, if I read romance novels, I just cringe, but kind of like Bailey, I don't want to cringe. Like, I want to be able to embrace it, but I just can't. I need that layer of like, this is not happening in my world, this is a fantasy world, and now I can be a little like child about it. And if I'm too cool to like it in real life. I don't know. I have that love-hate relationship to it. I'm a total romantic, but if we start talking about it, I will probably come out as a hater. Like, it's... But I don't want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
It's our little inner child that's like, no, you are a bitter person who loves darkness.
Is it your inner child or your inner grandma? Because I feel like your inner child wants love.
No, she's not comfortable with love. My grandma's fine. My child, no. I think it's more like I have an inner Eloise in a way. Maybe that's a good way to put it. Maybe that's why I like relate to her so much. So yeah, it's like I'm trying, like Eloise reading Emma, to get into it, but it's like I'm not completely there. But yeah, I'm obviously here for it. I'm in a podcast called The Romantic Wallflowers, so let's go.
Who would have known? And the fact that Bailey came up with the name when she's not a romance girly, I love it. Kay, what about you? You're quiet over there.
I know I'm quiet. Always. I'm always the one in the corner, like Penelope, to listen to everyone. I was always a wallflower when I was growing up. My first boyfriend, I had it 17, so it was quite late for me. So yeah, we were together like 7 years though, so it kind of worked for me that way. But I always like romance. I mean, my mom watched all the romance movie possible in the world. She loves Hallmark movie, precisely the Christmas one. So she records all of them during winter, and she listens to them in the summer. So when I visit her, she's listening to Christmas movie in July. I'm like, why?
That's a thing, right? Like Christmas in July.
Yeah.
It's all on Canadian channels at least.
For Bailey, winter is summer.
Yeah.
So it works.
Here in Quebec, we call that Noël du Campeur. So it's for camping Christmas, something like that.
Cute.
Yeah, the 25th of July. It's celebrated in Quebec, so it's non-official, but everyone knows it exists. So yeah, so my mom and I watch a lot of romance movie together or TV show. I lend her some romance book when she goes in vacation, which travels, because she's not a big reader, but on the beach, she likes to read romance. It's easier, it's relaxed, and it's always a story that ends most of the time. So, and that's mostly why I read them too, because yes, I love the drama. I don't think we don't love the drama. We all love that a lot. But it's fun to have like a happy ever after and everything. So, I mean, I grew up with Disney movie and everything. So yeah, I'm that kind of millennial, I would say.
That's so cute. I love that you share that together.
Yes, but I'm from now on, I'm a eternal single lady living with a cat.
You never know though. Like,
yeah,
maybe you are, but you're not dead. Like,
no.
Chelsea really said, "Look on the bright side. You're not dead."
I mean, there's time. There's time for you. Like, your life doesn't end at 37. Like,
I know what you mean. I know there's still a lot to come. I mean, I'm not even 40, so who knows?
who knows?
I can meet him or her tomorrow. I don't know.
Yeah, you could. We could make this podcast, and someone's like, "Holy shit, Kay is hot," and like,
No.
there you go. You never know, Kay. You're not dead yet.
No.
I am so happily single right now.
Yeah.
Like, I get all the fulfillment I need from watching these TV shows and reading these books, because men in real life are the worst. Especially, like, the single men. Like, they're single for a
Yeah,
reason.
totally.
Especially, like, past 30. It's like, you had all this time. Like, the person that I am meant to be with will come to me when they're supposed to come to me. Let's talk about how we started. Let's talk about our friendship. And let's talk about, even though I'm so pissed off, let's talk about Threads.
You have to explain again why we're pissed off at Threads.
We have a Threads and an Instagram for the Romantic Wallflowers. We were like in for 3 days and they banned us, and it was a week-long ban. It ended. I like started to send some threads, and then immediately we were banned again. So they don't want us to be great. They're like, romance, ew. We're not gonna do that, not on this app. So yeah, so I'm mad at Threads for that. But in terms of us, I love Threads because we all met on Threads.
We were literally unbanned and rebanned on Threads all while I was asleep. Like, it happened really close together.
That's the joy of living in a whole other part of the world. But talk about the thread to Discord pipeline.
Yeah. So we all had our personal individual journeys going from like part 1 of season 3 to part 2. I don't know about you, but during that time I was really sick. I didn't watch Bridgerton. I watched season 1 when it came out, didn't watch season 2, and then I was really sick in bed scrolling, and Anthony's "You're Going to India" scene kept on like being pushed at me, because I think, you know, Meta knew I love Mr. Darcy, and it's such a like Mr. Darcy thing. Anyway, so I was like, oh, okay, I need to check this out. I have so much time right now. So I watched all the seasons. I read all the books. I was like so obsessed. I desperately needed to talk to someone about it. I was already on Threads. I'm sorry, I'm going that much.
It's okay.
She's like, not this again. I was on Threads, but I wasn't really using it. I used to be really obsessed with Twitter. Quit Twitter because it's a toxic place. And yeah, just didn't use Threads. But then I was like, hang on. what if I talk about Bridgerton here? Because I needed to be completely unhinged about it. So I started talking about it, noticed that a lot of people were doing the same thing, and then on the premiere night of part 2, that's when I really started talking to everyone else, I think especially Chelsea.
I feel so honored.
I was very much the same, yeah. I didn't watch season 1 at all when it came out. It was always pitched to me as Regency Gossip Girl, and I love Gossip Girl, but I did not like Regency, so I was like, just not even gonna give it a go. And then I saw like promo for Penelope and Colin, and I was like, well, now I have to watch it. It's friends to lovers. There's like a plus size like female lead. She's a writer, she's a wallflower, I have to support her. So then I watched season 1 and surprisingly loved it. I love Simon and Daphne. And then I watched season 2, loved that as well. And then I read Romancing Mr. Bridgerton like 3 times as well. And then season 3 part 1 came out. And I know people in real life who watch Bridgerton, but like no one who watches it the way I watch things. No one likes things the way I like things. So I just wanted somewhere to talk about it. So I created the threads to kind of use it like Twitter, but not be on Twitter because that's gross. So I created my Threads account and I just started like talking absolute shit about Bridgerton, to be honest. Like it was like a mix of just like posting random thoughts and then posting like actual analyses and things. And then I think I started talking to Emma and Chelsea a fair bit on Threads as well.
And I appear out of nowhere someday. I don't remember. I just probably I follow you all, and I start talking with Chelsea and Emma, and I end up in the group chat on NJ when we start one. So I just appeared like, hey, hello, I'm here. I want to join. So I like to up in group like that, like a big surprise.
Like Emma says, I think Emma says it in our intro, like when we were all up watching the season 3 part 2 premiere, the advanced screening of episode 5, and we were all dying inside to talk about it, but obviously Threads is a very public platform. We didn't want to spoil it like 12 hours or whatever before the rest of the world could see it. And I think it was Chelsea that made a thread saying that we need like a group chat. So we started a group chat on Instagram, and that got so out of control so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was fun at first because literally it was me, Emma, and then one other person. And then like people kept joining. It's like, yay, more people. And then it was like, oh no.
No,
more people.
Well, then Brian joined and the whole thing just crashed.
Yeah.
We decided to start a Discord server because some of us were already nerds and knew what Discord was. Shout out to 304.
Yeah.
And that worked out so great.
Yeah. It's a nice community.
It's really nice. I think that of everywhere, like, you know, obviously we're chronically online, but it's such a calm place. It's like, okay, I need my zen. I'm gonna drop in the Discord. Sometimes it's not calm, and we have crisis, but for the most part, it's like, this is my happy place. So anyway, that's a shameless plug to join our Discord. The link is in our bio.
What I love about Discord versus just talking on Threads is that we can disagree about things without it becoming like, we're not keyboard warriors on Discord. We're really trying to understand each other, and we're being respectful, we're listening. We actually have a conversation instead of you saying one thing, there's a delay, I interpret what you're saying in completely out of context, and then I say something like angry back. That's not how I work on Discord.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that because my sister asked me what Discord was today, and I was like, how do I describe it to her? She's like, oh, is it like Reddit? And I'm like, no, because it's live. Like, we're not just like typing something out and then like hours later someone's gonna respond. Like, you're gonna say something, it's a chat. It's what it is. It's a chat. And she's like, I just have no reference for this. I'm like, it's just a group chat that's really well organized, but it is like 100%. It's so respectful. Even the people who disagree, like, and it's so strange because I'm like, I know that must exist in other places online, but like our immediate response is just to escalate. Like, oh, you disagree with me? Well, you're trash and you should die. Like, why are we like this? I've never said that to anyone, but you know what I mean? Like, that's like the internet. that is how people talk to each other.
The first response people have sometimes it's just to contradict people because you don't have the same reasoning as me, so I don't agree with you, so I will say my word. But in the writing, people can convey emotion. We don't see the people, we don't see their face. If there is no smiley, you can interpret a text message like 9 different ways when we talk face to face with someone. So imagine when it's just in words. So it's really hard to understand all the nuance and everything when we just
and then there's language barriers.
Exactly.
And there's, like Bridgerton is so international, and there's, like you said, there's so many nuances for each culture. It's just really interesting. Like, maybe you think the chat is going well and someone else is like, wow, she's really dumb or something. Like, like it's just so... Anyway, love the Discord. That's the point of the story. So now we have the Discord. We're starting this podcast to talk about our love/hate of romance.
It's so interesting though, because Kay, you were mentioning like Hallmark movies before. There are so many different genres within romance. Like there are stuff that I would never ever read. Even my boyfriend this morning, he's like, you should do an episode on Hallmark movies. Because that's so different from Regency romance. Yeah, it's so different.
It's so cheesy. I can't, because when my mom and I watch a Christmas movie, they have the same pattern and they all kiss. The real kiss happen 5 minutes before the end. Always. It's always the same pattern.
And you say real kiss, but it's like this.
Not all the time. Sometimes it's more passionate than that, but it's never Bridgerton level.
After speaking to Chelsea the day before, what day is it today? Whenever I spoke to Chelsea about the romance book I'm trying to write, I was trying to get back into like the mood of writing this romance novel because like I do love stories, so I'm trying to write the romance that I want to read. So I was searching like fake dating movies to get me like back in the zone, and I ended up watching, it was not fake dating, I was misled. I was lied to. Fake dating was mentioned, but they do not do it, and I basically ended up watching like a Hallmark Christmas movie last night, and it was not good.
I'm so sorry. Thoughts and prayers.
I was like,
that's not what you need when you're trying to get into romance as like a non-romance girly.
The thing is, I started watching it and I was like, okay, like the premise is kind of fun. This is kind of a good time. Whatever. The acting's not particularly good. The script is a bit cringe. I can get past it. Whatever. They don't fake date. That's a lie. And the main lead ends up dating like this other guy throughout the whole movie, and I was rooting for the other guy. Like, he had chemistry with the other guy, and then in the end he got with the best friend, and I'm like, no. You have no romantic chemistry. I'm watching these two hot people kiss and they don't even look good kissing together.
That's a crime.
It was. I was so sad about it, and I was like chatting in the Discord about it as well, and someone else had seen it, so we were like chatting, and I was just gradually like, my enjoyment was lessening, and I'm like, oh no, this is like not good. Like, the cheesy fun is no longer there. Why is there still so long of this movie left?
So you need people to send you suggestions of really good fake dating movies.
Yeah, like I can't just keep watching Pretty Woman 100 times, otherwise I'm just going to write Pretty Woman.
Have you seen season 1 of Bridgerton?
Yes. I have indeed. I can't keep rewatching that
either. That's the only suggestion I have. That's
okay, have you seen...
But I've said it, I love Simon and Daphne.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Yeah, that's the suggestion I have too.
No.
There's also the proposal.
I was just gonna say the proposal.
The proposal.
No, I've not seen. I have seen, I think, half of the proposal. It was on TV once.
Oh my god!
So I saw bits of
Ryan Reynolds, when he was peak like romance energy, now he's just like comedy. But he had like a whole string where he was the romance lead, and it was perfect.
A cute one too. It's To All the Boys I've Loved Before, and the Tree movie about.
I love that movie.
I love this movie. I only see the first one.
I love the movie. The second book in the series is, my friend bought me the trilogy for my birthday. I have them over there. They're all like annotated, but the second book in that trilogy is one of my favorite books in the world. I love it. I think it's such a beautiful and perfect coming of age story.
Yes.
Where like the main female character like kind of grows up without having to lose her virginity, which is a very big trope in a lot of these coming of age stories. and I think that the third book was not necessary, but the second book is like a perfect book about girlhood and growing up, in my opinion. I love it. I will always recommend it.
It's very, very good. I didn't even watch the third film. I didn't like the second film of it. I thought it diverted too far from the book.
Yeah, the second movie, I watched all three of the movies before I read the books, and I liked the first movie, and then the second and third movie I didn't really care for, and I don't usually like a love triangle or that sort of trope very often, so I was really expecting to not like the second book because of the way the movie portrayed the love triangle, but the book portrays the love triangle so well because it's just Lara Jean being really torn between Peter, who represents like a more mature kind of love and growing up and moving on from like the innocence of girlhood, or John Ambrose, who is just that like remaining innocent and remaining a little girl forever and never having to grow up and move on. And like the way it's represented with the treehouse as well, beautiful, impeccable, 10 out of 10.
Gorgeous.
Love it.
So good. Yeah, so that it's interesting because, you know, to go back a little bit, we talk about Hallmark films, and then there's these like kind of middle of the road, like to all the boy, like the 90s and 2000s rom-coms, and then there's like 50 Shades of Grey, and that's kind of where like I think people find romance so cringe because they think romance is Hallmark or 50 Shades of Grey, nothing in between. And where Bridgerton, I feel like, really kind of brought it all together is it was a really well produced, well made, with all these beautiful tropes and characters without being too, like, of course you have your big sex scenes, but it's not like overtly like the whole show makes you just like blush. Like you can still skip the scenes and still have a great show, which like there are some movies you cannot, like the whole movie it's basically like softcore porn. So I think that really has changed the narrative on romance as a genre, because we can have these really well done TV shows and movies without losing the heart of what romance should be.
2020 was a really interesting year because that's when season 1 of Bridgerton came out, and like you said, kind of changed the game a little bit. And the same year Normal People came out. Remember 2020 being like the year of sex returning to the screens, because for a while now, and it's proven that there's way less sex scenes in the TV shows and movies these days. But those two shows came and we're all like, oh my god, what's going on? Like, we're all blushing, and a generation were like, actually, we kind of want this.
Yeah.
We want more of this, without it being like you're saying.
And
like,
we were all in confinement at home.
Yes.
Alone.
Yeah.
Yes.
That
was the part.
Flirt with someone. And also, like, you know, Consent King Colin, fair play. But the first Consent King was Paul Mescal in Normal People. Like that scene, like the impact it had on everyone was talking about, like, oh my god, he's asking if she's still like it's okay and still wants it, and like that was such a huge moment. And then I also remember watching Bridgerton and Daphne and Simon just going absolutely bananas, which we didn't get to see again in the other seasons, but that's what it really changed. I think 2020 people realized, I think, that they were craving that, and they were craving good love stories versus like the 50 Shades of Grey or Hallmark.
Yeah,
they wanted some more depth to it.
The good romance movie I've watched during that time, it was Love, Rosie. It's based on a book, and it's such a it's like kind of Friends to Lovers too, but also Right Person, Wrong Time, and it's such a beautiful movie, and the actors are great. I love Sam and Lily; they are great in this movie, and I ship them not together, but I love their chemistry. It's not the same as Luke and Nicola, I would say, but it's a little closer, but it's one of the movies I like to rewatch when I want to watch something romantic.
And it is a slow burn.
Yeah, like, totally.
Oh man, that movie is so good. If you guys haven't watched it, it's not fake dating. It, like she said, it's Friends to Lovers, but the chemistry between Sam Claflin and Lily Collins,
the daughter of
Phil Collins,
Colin, yeah.
And she's British in the movie. So that's
They're
really
both
interesting.
British in the movie.
Well, but I mean, like, she's American.
Yeah.
So, like, she, if you watch Emily in Paris, like, it's a totally different experience. Because in Emily in Paris, she's a little cringe. In Love, Rosie, she plays it so well.
I love her.
It's so good.
It's such a great movie.
So, anyway, I think this might be kind of like a natural conclusion.
Basically, our Bridgerton and other romance show that sneaked into the 2020s made us realize that our gardens, when it comes to romance, needs to be tended. And
Not to quote Violet. Oh.
we all became Violet.
It's interesting because I started ghostwriting romance novels in 2022. So there was kind of this like Bridgerton effect where it was like I never read romance, and then I watched Bridgerton, and then I'm like, maybe this is okay, and then I'm like, wow, there's a lot more sex in these books than I was expecting.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, there definitely was like an atmospheric shift.
But they saw that it sell. I mean,
Yeah,
sells,
it does sell. It is a huge market.
Yeah.
So a lot of women's gardens need tending. So if there's any men listening, that is your cue.
Get your
you need
shit
to
together.
pick up a romance. Yeah, get your shit together. Get a romance book. Learn some things about how women like to be talked to and how they like to be seduced.
Watch Bridgerton, season 3.
Watch Bridgerton. Be all of the men, because we want a little mix of all of them.
Mostly Colin, though. I must say.
Yeah, I'd take a little Duke in there. Ugh.
I will accept a Marcus.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Marcus,
Marcus
he's
is
so
smooth.
pure.
He's a
Like,
smooth
ugh.
character.
He's so
Yeah.
smooth. There's no way any of you would reject him if he came up to you.
Absolutely
There's
not.
no way.
If a man like that came up to me, I'd be like, "Are you okay? All right, like me? You want me?
I
Did
also
you have a brain injury? What's going on?"
I'll say Will Mundrich too. He has game.
Yes.
100%.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Or Alice. Like, I don't know.
Alice.
I'm not
Them.
fussy.
Honestly.
Do you know what? Both of them. I would never want to break them up, so I would be the
Yes.
third.
I can be in the middle.
I volunteer.
I volunteer.
If you insist, that's what I said. Okay, this is a natural stopping place to talk about season 4 because of my season 4. Like, everybody's a throuple theory.
Oh my god,
yeah.
please.
That's coming up in the next episode, so
Yeah.
everyone's probably super excited to hear about it.
Stick around for our next
around.
episode. We are the Romantic Wallflowers. We hope you enjoyed.
What a way to end it.
I